Remember, only individuals. No businesses and only one item per call. It's back.
Friday will be a nice day with a mix of sun and clouds and a high between 76 and 80. And clear to partly cloudy Friday night, lows ranging from 52 in the coolest inland spots to about 60 along the coast. For Saturday, a partly sunny day. It'll be warm in the afternoon with a high between 78 and 82. Sunday, morning cloud and a shower giving way to some sunshine, but a cooler day, highs generally in the 70s. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 7 minutes after 11 o'clock. I apologize for taking a little bit longer during that break than I should have, but the computer is who I'm going to blame. I'm going to blame the computer.
Of course, it is true.
Hey, when I was a young dad, there was a book in the home that I had, my house. The home. Sounds like I was in a home. There was a book where I was.
I know.
There was a big, let me put it this way. There was a big book on the shelf. And I remember I didn't have to go to it that much. Thank goodness, right? I had a pretty healthy child. So, and he's now 33. So I haven't looked at that book in a long time. Probably don't even have it anymore. But nowadays everybody looks online, right?
Exactly.
That's not a good thing. I have come to learn after doing radio shows for so long that if you are looking for medical advice on the internet, it's a crapshoot, right? It could be very risky, right?
Yes.
That's why we want to make sure we recommend a good book. Just do it the way we used to do it in the old days. The doctor recommended the book that I had. And it was there for stuff like, little things that you could maybe do at home, like, I don't know, like a bloody nose. I remember that one. What do you do for a bloody nose? That was scary,
Exactly.
by the way.
That was scary, yes.
All right, let's see. Dr. Jacqueline Jones is on the phone. Not only is she going to recommend a book, but she wrote one. Hers is called Medical Parenting, How to Navigate Health, Wellness, and the Medical System with Your Child. Dr. Jones is a board-certified ear, nose, and throat specialist, a head and neck surgeon. Oh, boy, really? She's listed as one of America's top doctors, a member of the faculty at the Weill, am I saying that right? Cornell Medical College. And again, her book is called Medical Parenting. I already know I want to make sure that people get this book. See, now I'm a grandpa.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you are.
So
First time.
This just might be one of the things that comes over with me when I go visit. I might bring it. Dr. Jacqueline Jones. Good morning, Jacqueline. Doctor, how are you?
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New York City, and I was sitting here listening to your weather. I hope you realize how lucky you are. It's 40 and raining here.
Oh, my.
So wait a minute. Have you heard of this place called LaGuardia? Am I being a smartass? All you got to do is go over there. Come on down. We got extra room here. Robin, we got an extra bed, right?
That's right.
I'm showing up later.
I'm just trying to rub it in. No, actually, to tell you the truth, we miss New York. So the grass is always greener, right?
Absolutely.
So tell me something. Since ear, nose, and throat is one of the things that says on your list, the bloody nose with children, what causes that?
So that's such a great question because here in New York, and you will get a winter sooner or later there in Florida. This is bloody nose season for kids, and the top reason for bloody noses in children is dryness. And here in New York, the heat's on, and the weather's cold, and kids' noses dry out. So that's the number one reason. Where you are, also another big reason is allergies. So if your kid is getting a lot of bloody noses and you're in an area like Florida, you also may want to think about allergies.
I want to brag about your book just real quickly before we talk about the details in it. 39 reviews. That's all the reviews so far, right? And every one of them giving 5 stars.
Oh, thank you.
5-star reviews across the board. That is almost unheard of. There's almost some smart aleck always that's going to have something to say.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think if you read the reviews, you realize that these people are parents. And that's, you know what I said about the internet being our go-to thing? It really is not a smart idea, right?
It isn't. And I was taking care of a young child the other day, and the mom said to me, first time mom, isn't there a YouTube video on how to raise a kid? I'm having trouble.
Oh, no.
Oh,
no.
That's the problem. There's so much information, as you said, Larry. There's so much information on the internet. The parents get overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. So that's why I wrote this book, to have parents have a place to go to help them to sort of raise their children the way we want to raise our children, healthy and happy.
Well, see, you're also instilling common sense when you just made that statement, because sometimes, the people just refuse to use common sense.
It's hard, and we all know as parents that, when you're so emotional about your child, sometimes common sense goes out the window.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not my child, so I can be a little bit more objective and help parents to move through this difficult process of being a parent and a grandparent.
So I was talking about this book that I had when my son was little, and it was very much a resource, and I would have to know what something was. I could not diagnose something, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And as not a doctor, I don't think any of us probably should make that mistake. So how do we use a book like yours?
So what I wanted this book to be is sort of a road map to how to work the medical system for your child. And that's what we want. We want the best possible care. We want it to be low stress on us as parents as well. And so my first chapter starts with choosing a pediatrician. I go through nutrition. What's that first dental visit going to be like? None of us want to go see the dentist, and when it's with our child, it's even more anxiety-provoking.
How
and move through illness and letting go of your child as they age.
Okay, no, I just said that I wouldn't use the internet for most medical advice, but I might use it for like the rating system. Like if I'm looking for a doctor, I want to say, what are other people saying? Is that reliable? Like I go to Yelp, let's say, and Dr. McGillicuddy or something is in there. Is that a good idea, or is that still a bad idea?
I think it is a good idea because you get the flavor of, what that person is, that physician is like. But you also have to remember that most people who have a great experience don't take the time to go to the internet. It's more common for people who have a negative experience to go on the internet and vent. So you have to take everything that you get on the internet with a grain of salt. I mean, you use it as one of your resources, but also going to hospital websites, going to look at malpractice claims. You can Google anything now on the internet. And also asking your obstetrician. If you had a great experience with your obstetrician, they're probably going to recommend someone with a similar sort of philosophy and way of dealing with their patients.
I like that you mentioned before that your book is all-encompassing because when your children grow up and then they go off away to college and they're not physically at home, they're rooming in a college somewhere a few cities away, you don't know what kind of obstacles they're encountering and what is really the status of their emotional health.
And that was one of the big points that I made in my chapter about children transitioning to college. I mean, they're 18, but, the three of us know, especially boys, they're not really adults yet. But we want to try and get them to transition to being adults. But we're still their parents. We still worry about them every single minute. So what are the safeguards that you can put in place as a parent, and what are the things that you can look for that are warning signs that you need to get on the plane or in the car and go see that kid?
Because you don't want to hover. You don't want to be putting a leash on them. You want them to be able to be on their own.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the way we raise healthy, happy, responsible adults, is to let them fall, to let them have mistakes. It's so hard as a parent. So hard.
So what do you think is the biggest challenge for a newlywed or they're new parents anyway, they might not be newlywed, but they are parents for the first time or going to be parents for the first time. At what point do you look for a pediatrician?
I think, Louis, you said it so well. The amount of information that parents have available to them, I think, is overwhelming. And as you mentioned, there's Google, there's Yelp, there's, blogs, there's just so much information out there that how as a parent do you sift through that information? So that's what I try to do in medical parenting, is to help give parents sort of that top 10 questions that they should ask. Now, as I mentioned earlier, talking to your obstetrician about who they recommend, talking to your friends, talking to your family, and getting a list of people. But then the most important thing is to know yourself. What's good for your best friend may not be good for you. You know, as you know, if you're a first-time parent and you maybe want someone who's a little bit more hand-holding, that you want to see the same pediatrician, maybe you want to go for a small practice. This is your third kid and you got this one, maybe you can go to a large practice where you'll see different pediatricians and not have that much hand-holding. So.
Yeah, that does seem like that's the way most people are, right? That's what they say, right?
So what do you say to the parent then when they're going to go out and they're going to get a babysitter for the young child? What if an emergency comes up? How prepared should that caretaker be to take care of the situation?
That's such an important point, and you're the first person who's really asked that. And I think so many parents, both moms and dads, now work. So there's many different options: daycare, nannies, babysitters. It's not like when we grew up where most of our moms stayed home. So I think the best precaution is being prepared. So making sure that you supply your babysitter with all the essential numbers, bring that babysitter or nanny to your first or second pediatrician's visit so that you can be there with them, you can introduce them to the pediatrician, they can feel comfortable. So if, God forbid, there's a life-threatening emergency, they know where to go, the office knows them, they feel comfortable and they can handle the situation. So great question.
The book, again, is called Medical Parenting, How to Navigate Health, Wellness, and the Medical System with Your Child. Talk about the person who maybe you've had a wonderful doctor and all that, but now you're moving to Florida because it's just too damn cold in New York.
That was a dig. Okay.
You have to start over. No, you have to start over, right? You have to start over?
You do have to start over, and I think one of the things is, it is a much smaller world than when we were growing up. So asking your current pediatrician if they know someone, in Florida, I have a lot of colleagues who have relocated, so I always have contacts in Florida. But, if they don't have a contact, asking your new employer, asking your real estate agent, and then, as you said, working the internet. And researching people.
Do you know what? And I don't know if this is going to rub anybody the wrong way, but here's something that I noticed a lot here, because I'm from there. I'm from where you are right now, and so somebody who's also moved here from New York or Michigan or Wisconsin or something, and they have a child. They always say, "Oh, I'm bringing my child. I'm bringing my baby up north because I don't trust these doctors down here." That's what they say, and I know it's very unfounded, but at the same time, that's what you hear a lot. So I don't know what your reply would be to that, other than maybe to. I've been here long enough to know that that's just nonsense because we have some really good doctors here. But what are your thoughts on that?
You have fantastic doctors there, and every community has fantastic doctors. You just have to find them. And one of the things that I tried to talk about in medical parenting was that you have to choose your pediatrician, your specialist carefully, because especially with your pediatrician, this can be a marriage that can last for 21 years. And you have to realize if it's not working, it's okay to walk away from that. As I sometimes say, we usually don't get married after the first date.
right.
Yeah, so, a couple of times if this isn't a fit, find someone new.
Let me ask you this. What about the child's feelings about a doctor? Maybe when they're 1 and 2, they're not going to express anything, but when they're a little bit older, they might say something to you that makes you think, oh, maybe they don't like this doctor, or maybe there's a better match out there. What would you do then?
It depends on the age of your child. I mean, there aren't many 5-year-olds who love going to the pediatrician because that's the age where you get shots. So you have to be sensitive to your child, but also as parents, we have to be responsible. We have to take control somewhat of the situation. So, if a child just doesn't like a doctor, you have to figure out why. It's sort of like they go to school and they don't like their teacher. You can't really change teachers so well. So sometimes having and helping them to learn with how to work with different personalities is great. Now, that's a different story if you have a 14 or a 15-year-old. That's the time when, in my book, I talk about taking a step back and letting your child have some responsibility for their care. As they get older, there's questions that they may want to talk about with their pediatrician that they don't want you to hear. And that's what we want. We want them to develop a relationship with someone that they feel comfortable talking about those difficult questions that all adolescents have to deal with. So if your adolescent is saying, I'm not really connecting, then, yeah, it's worthwhile looking in the practice, seeing if there's someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they want someone of the same gender. If there isn't someone who fits,
yeah,
then,
sometimes that's
yeah,
right.
so maybe it is time to switch. But listening, as parents of adolescents, a lot of it is about listening and then responding appropriately.
Being a parent is the best thing that ever happened to me. When I die, if I get a chance to say something to God, I'm going to say, I just want to thank you. I'll say to the secretary, can I just poke my head in for a second? I just want to thank him.
Isn't it so true? But
Yeah,
it's a lot of responsibility.
Well, I was looking at the
easy.
titles of your chapters, and chapter 13 is titled Letting Go. And I remember when my son got his driver's license, and there he goes, without me. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is not a good feeling.
Yeah.
And then when he went to college, it was even worse.
It's so hard. And tell me, you don't think about your 33-year-old every single day?
I think about him every minute. I
Absolutely.
swear to you. I became more religious after he was born. Then I started talking to God. Okay, keep him safe, please. I didn't want to drive home from the hospital because I was afraid all these cars were going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And you still worry about him.
I do.
Never stop.
And now he's a daddy. Now I'm trying to see it through his. I don't know. I see me through. I don't know what I do, but it's different.
You also encourage parents that as a parent, we're taking care of our children, but we also have to make sure that we're healthy and happy. We need a good demeanor.
Absolutely. And you know how when you get on the airplane, they say put your oxygen mask on first before you can help someone else? Mm-hmm. If you're a wreck and you're not healthy and your diet consists of chicken nuggets that are left over and mac and cheese, you're not going to be an effective parent. So you have to be good to yourself to be good to your child. And that's so important in this crazy, crazy world.
I hope that never happens. I've never had the oxygen mask come down. Have you?
No. But hey, but you're always prepared, and you do with one eye watch that stewardess, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. If that oxygen mask comes down, I'm grabbing it.
Yeah.
What is one of the most common concerns of new parents?
I think one of the most common concerns of new parents is my child okay? And are they going to develop okay? And is that little hiccup or their little sneeze going to turn into pneumonia? I think as a new parent, every little hiccup or sneeze or whatever, it's just so scary because you haven't seen it before. And as you were saying, you worry about every single car that drives past you on the road. Are they going to hit me? Is my kid going to be all right?
Yeah.
Helping to have reasonable expectations and realizing that your child's going to be okay. Most kids survive childhood.
I'm sure you've heard about the horrible stories we've had here in Florida where a child will be swimming in a lake and then they get an amoeba in their ear or their nose and it kills them. Have you heard of these things?
Yeah.
They're awful.
Those things are so scary.
Oh my gosh.
But so rare. A meteor could strike the earth. So, but one of the things is, okay, think about it, know the symptoms. If you're concerned, see your pediatrician and get it taken care of quickly. It's when things go left unchecked.
Is there a preventive thing, I guess? You could put earplugs in, right, or something? Nose plugs?
Those are the type of things you can't prevent, but, rinsing the nose with saline after bathing or, in the ocean, if you really want to be careful, those are healthy things to do.
Well, you also address in your book surgery, in case surgery is needed, because that's a really, really scary thing.
That's a really scary thing. And I'm a surgeon, so I know, but I'm also a mother, so I know the fear that parents go through. If it's you who's going to go through surgery, you're a little bit nervous, but it's your child, you are just paralyzed. It's so scary. So I hope to give a roadmap to parents on what to expect step by step as your child and you go through this process.
So you talked about the chicken nuggets, and I noticed you have a chapter on nutrition. You thought I was going to go with the food. Right? So nutrition, obviously, for you and the child, right?
Right.
Yeah. No sugar on the cereal anymore, right? We don't do that anymore?
No, where did Cocoa Puffs go? You know, what
I know.
Cocoa Puffs.
Frosted
Are you a
Flakes.
Cocoa Puffs fan?
Well, when I was growing up, I have a much better diet now, but hey, I love the Cocoa Puffs.
Did you have a rabbit when you were a kid? Did you have a rabbit?
No, I never had a rabbit. Did you have one?
I did, and the rabbit poop looked just like Cocoa Puffs.
Oh.
It did. It was
Did you try it? Did you
It
try
was
it?
like the same thing.
Oh, don't eat stuff off the floor. That's the big one. That one.
But nutrition is super important because of the development of the child's brain. I mean, within the first year, that child is extraordinary. He or she is learning everything that can be learned that we take for granted.
Absolutely, and I also think one of the other things we have to realize, you don't want to have a child grow up on the beige diet, which is chicken nuggets, milk, mac and cheese, because if you don't expose the child to varied tastes and textures and spices, they're going to grow up to be an adolescent or even adult with a limited palate, and that's just not healthy. So many of the cultures expose kids to spices and sour things, and we should start introducing different foods to our kids.
That's true. Yeah, I wish I had done more. I wish I had done more of that, to be honest with you, because I was kind of
Me
guilty of
too.
the hot dog and mac and cheese night. I was pretty good.
We all were.
Yeah,
So.
But you always encourage people to engage in conversation with their children. No matter how small they are or how old they get, you still have to keep that communication open for a healthy relationship.
Put that phone down. That's the most important thing. I mean, as we were saying before, there's so much information, and we're connected in so many different ways. People can text you, they can email you.
Right.
You know, you always have your phone. You
Yeah.
know, and I'm just as guilty as other parents are, but you know, I really tried, and I still try with my children, to put my phone down and have a cell-free zone at dinner. So we can connect, we can talk, we can look each other in the eye, and have them know I'm there and I'm listening to them.
We were talking about Thanksgiving etiquette for the 21st century kid this morning, believe it or not. And we were saying, at the dinner table, do you have your phone or not? Because kids use their phones for cameras.
Yeah, but no, then put it on airplane mode, because no calls, no internet. You can use it for camera, but
Airplane.
that's it.
Oh, what a great idea.
Oh,
Airplane mode.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Airplane
Wow.
mode. It's called Thanksgiving mode.
Yeah.
Right.
That way you can show that way you can show Grandma the picture of yourself when you cut your knee, right?
Right.
Well, you're fun. The book is getting such good reviews. It is called Medical Parenting. Dr. Jacqueline Jones is who we've been speaking to. I did find it on Amazon, and let's see. Do you have a website you'd like to direct us to?
Absolutely. It's called medicalparenting.com, and it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and at your local bookstores.
All right. And P.S. Robin is also Grandma. And
First time.
Wonderful.
And her grandson
Wonderful.
is right across that river on the left side of you, on the Hudson River.
That's right.
Her son lives in Jersey, so
Wonderful. Congratulations.
we'll be
Thank
up to experience that cold weather soon.
Well, we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Doctor.
All right.
All right.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA.